Good morning, Year 10, or good afternoon, Year 10, whenever you get into this. Hope you're all doing okay out there. Hope you're looking after each other, looking after those around you. I also hope you enjoyed that version of the play I asked you to watch last couple of lessons, this 1980s version. I know it looks a little bit dated in places now, but I do think that's the best version. I know there's a version a lot of you might have watched last year, which includes the flashbacks, and I know quite often people enjoy that, but I do think it is a substitute to reading the play. Obviously we're having to do. I think the version I asked you to watch last time is much better, just because it sticks so closely to the actual text of the play, so I hope you enjoyed that. Okay, so today we are going to look at the context of the play. I'll tell you what I particularly mean by this in a moment, but can you just start off by copying your date, title and learning objective into your into wherever you're doing your work, whether that's a continuing Word document, or whether you're working on pieces of paper which you're filing in your folder, or whether you're working in your Year 9 book, wherever it is. But can you get that title, date, learning objective copied, please? Thank you very much. Hit pause, come back when you're done. Okay, so yeah, a little bit about context today. Now, particularly I want to push political and social context. As I've said to you a couple of times, the risk of seeming quite mercenary, the thing you need to do is be better than everyone else who sits the exam next year, okay? And loads of people will go into that exam and think, all right, context, well, I'll just mention something about Titanic and blood, fire and anguish, and that'll get me context marks. Well, it will get you some context marks, but there's a bit more to it than that. It's a massively political play, hugely political play, and I think you need to be aware of Priestley's politics, and actually the extent to which we could look at this play as a piece of propaganda. I think it is a piece of propaganda, in my opinion. Maybe you'll agree with me, maybe you'll disagree, but let's see what we get to. Okay. So, let's look at a few quotations just to talk about the relevance of the play today. Here's the first one. You recognise this, I'm sure. Community and all that nonsense. A man has to look after himself and his own. And that's, of course, Mr. Burling. There's another one from another 40 years later. There is no such thing as society. There are individual men and women, and there are families. And that's by Margaret Thatcher, former Conservative Prime Minister, speaking in 1987. Okay, and last but not least, very up to date. We're going to do it. We're going to do it together. One thing I think the coronavirus crisis has already proved is that there really is such a thing as society. And there's Boris Johnson, Conservative Prime Minister, just a couple of weeks ago. Okay, so what I want you to do, just briefly, you don't need to write anything down, but I just want you to look at these and hit pause in a moment and just think, well, what's the common thread going through all of these? I should point out, obviously, conservative, well, J.B. Priestley we know is a socialist, so tending towards the left side of politics, but his character, Mr. Burling, is very much towards the right. We know he represents capitalism. So just hit pause. What's the common thread running through these three quotations here? In fact, actually, yeah, just hit pause and just jot a few notes down into your book or into wherever you're doing your work. Excuse me. What's the common thread between those three lines? Give yourself 5 minutes or so. Okay, so, well, hopefully you can see that the common thing there is all about this idea of, do we look after each other? Are we individuals, or are we a society? And that's very much at the heart of the play. And it's the message that J.B. Priestley's trying to put forwards. Okay, can I ask you to do a little bit of watching now, please? If you're able to, just watch the BBC context video. I think that will come up with a link there. Yeah, but I'll put this link underneath this video. It's only about 12 minutes long. Just jot that down. Can you watch that, please, and just jot some notes about the political context surrounding the play, and then just come back to this video when you're done. Thank you very much. Okay, so hopefully you've watched through that. Time for a little bit of reading now. So again, I know we're not going near the play really. I'm hoping you're familiar with it from the last couple of lessons. I've sent you a document called The Play as Political Propaganda. I just want you to read through pages 9, 10, 11 and 12 of that. And then when you've done those, I just want you to answer just a short, and I think maybe 1 or 2 paragraphs at most, response to this question from page 12. Do you think that Inspector Calls and Inspector Calls still has a message for us today? So try and incorporate information from both the film and the reading in your answer, and of course actually the play itself. You know, it'd be great if you get some quotations from the play in there. I would suspect or suggest about 10 minutes on this task. So please, once again, hit pause, spend about 10 minutes writing a response to that, and then come back when you're done. Okay, so hopefully you've done that. A little bit more reading, please, now. So when you've written your response, please can you just read through the remaining couple of pages, pages 13 and 14, and I just want you to answer just 5 of these questions. I think that'll probably take you till pretty much the end of today's lesson. If you reach the hour and you've not done 5, that's okay. I mean, obviously that probably means that either my timing's out or you're writing in such wonderful detail that there's loads of information in your answers. But like I say, spend about an hour. I would expect you to try and get about 5 done. Okay. The more sophisticated answers might make reference to the reading you've done, the context film you watched, the play itself, or maybe even come back to those quotations from Margaret Thatcher, Boris Johnson, or Burling. I know there was a Year 11 student I taught a couple of years ago, and she basically began every single essay by referring to that Margaret Thatcher quote. I don't think she was a particular fan of Margaret Thatcher's politics at all, but it straight away, it really showed the examiner that this was someone who understood that politics is at the heart of this play, and actually it's a really, really good thing to do. Make the connection between the play and the real world. Okay, we'll come to writing essays about this later, but anyway. So, as I say, take until the end of the lesson, please. Aim for 5, but let's see where you get to. If you manage to do more than 5, ace, but aim for 5. Okay, hit pause, come back when you're done. Okay, and that's it for today. So, please can you email me your work from today, please, just so I can keep an eye on what you're up to. A doc is fine, or if you're working on pages. If you're working on pages, actually, could you just copy it into an email? Because I think I struggle to open pages. Or photos of handwritten work is absolutely fine. So if you could just send that through to me, that would be brilliant. And thank you very much. As the inspector might say, keep being collectively responsible out there, and I will see you next lesson. Look after yourselves. Thanks very much. Bye.